to Unspoken, Community and Business Conversations. It's tax season, so today we're talking about entrepreneurs and what they need to know when managing their taxes for their small businesses. Joining me is Brittany Jackson, CEO of Tax Break, and Floyd Phillips, CEO of the Floyd Phillips Companies. So I'm going to get right into it. So it's said that the best thing a small business can do is to learn how to legally pay as less tax as possible.
Yes.
So Brittany, can you speak to that? What are some of the common expenses that you would say, without a doubt, almost no matter what industry or business you're in, you probably could or should be deducting?
Definitely your supplies. Definitely like all your overhead. Anything that you are donating or like hiring. So if you're donating out like time, or if you are like hiring like felons, they have a huge tax break for hiring felons and put them on the payroll. Yes. So just knowing like the trends that are out there and some of the newer deductions and credits that they have for like your industry, your business, like just knowing what it is. If it's new, like hold on to it because it'll probably be in place like the next 3 or 4 years. Mm-hmm. So just keep an account on like everything you're spending out, taking out, and keeping that separate from your personal finances, because when you write all this stuff off, it does affect your overall adjustment, your AGI, your adjusted gross income. Mm-hmm. So if you making $50,000, but you're funding your small business, and you wrote off $30,000, your income is only $20,000.
Right.
So it's keeping those things separate so that you can tell a good story with your numbers, basically.
Okay.
Do you find that like the same trend, like you just keep it separate, or?
That was another thing I struggled with. You know, I think that over time you learn that you do have to have a personal account and a business account. Mm-hmm. A lot of times when we get started, we'll just have one account and we got everything coming out of, so you paying your rent and your bills out of there, and then you paying your employees out of there, and then you wonder why you don't have any money at the end of the month. Or you hit that mark where, let's just say, I remember having about $2,500 in the bank. And then we would do like tons of sales. And I'll pay my bills and everything, and 6 months later, I'm like, I look at the bank, I still got $2,500 in there. I'm like, man, where's this money going? And so, like, I think that keeping it separate, helps you to kind of have an idea and manage your personal expenses. And then after a while, I think what we learned, or what I personally learned, was that I could manage and meticulously watch all of our expenses. Then I see, okay, this is why we're not making money.
Right.
This is why we're not able to accumulate, is because our margins are too low, or we're spending too much on this expense, or we're spending too much on credit card processing. So the more you have an opportunity to pay attention to that, you can meticulously like watch every penny, and then it'll tell you the story of why you're not making a profit, not accumulating.
Okay. So I want to go a little deeper and talk about how, like, the 2017 Tax Cuts and Job Acts apparently benefited white families more so. And so we know that this is like a common issue in the African American community of many people just not trusting the systems, not trusting voting, and like, in this case, not trusting taxes, or, some people not even filing their taxes for years, or as you mentioned, Brittany, not hiring an accountant at all because they feel like they don't want people, touching their money. And so, have you seen this in practice, and what is it that we can do to better educate or better encourage, our fellow entrepreneurs, small business owners, especially in the African American community, to file their taxes?
I think it's all about education. So a lot of times you see people shy away from filing their taxes because they think it's like the negatives are like larger than life. Like, oh my gosh, I owe so much in student loan debt, I'm not filing my taxes. Or, oh my God, my baby mama is taking my tax refund check, I'm not filing because I don't want her to get the money for that. So you see people file off of just pure negligence of their just ignorant. They don't even want to go a little further. Like, I got a client who literally, they hold his check every time, but he don't even know if it's child support or student loans. He just like, whatever. But at least like he has like, checked that box. But like the money is just like, it's gonna be stuck in limbo. And in a minute he will get they will seriously probably audit him, like some like warning letters out though. But I think it's just the whole it's the fear of the unknown, because it is the unknown. Mm-hmm. So I think that plays a huge part in not like educating yourself on, all right, who do I owe? How much do I owe? Like, who can come after my income tax refund check? I think those are the major factors why people don't file.
So where would you recommend that they go for that education? What would you say is like a few of the best sources that are also?
They'll tell you. I mean, the government offer 800 numbers. IRS offer 800 numbers, and if your name is on there, I always tell my clients before they even file, anybody who I have like a intro sheet to kind of get to know their finances a little more, and I ask like, do you owe student loans? If they say yes, I literally give them this number because I've had so many cases, and I've learned every year just to kind of like put it in their face. Like I've learned every year, like, and it's getting worse now because now if you're married filing joint together, you're my husband, and if you owe, they're taking the entire thing. And that's happened a few times, and it's heartbreaking because the wife want to come back and file an amendment to file separate, and it's like, y'all might as well just chalk this up together as y'all togetherness, and then just kind of move forward. Look forward to next year. But that's happened a few times where they are so confident, like, no, we're all up to date. No, his name is on the list. Now, even if your name is on the list, you still have to make sure that the loans are in some kind of forbearance or some deferment process because they can legally go after their income tax checks, and that they always do every year.
So another question for you, and then Floyd, I want you to piggyback on this. What typically will strike an audit, and have you ever been audited, Floyd?
So just to put it out there, you have a better chance of being struck by lightning than to be audited.
Oh, that's comforting to know.
So usually, like some of my mentors, like around the country, and it doesn't really happen in the Midwest. I feel like in the Midwest, people file their taxes as a checkbox. Like, okay, I'm done with that. Let me move on. Okay. As opposed to like some of your other metropolitan areas, they're filing taxes like this is like about to be, $8,000 coming back, $10,000 coming back. Like our refund checks in Ohio are significantly lower than the average. Like we're not getting a lot of refunds. You know what I mean? Like we're not getting a high amount of refunds. So when you go into like the Atlantas, the Memphises, the Dallas and Houston, like they're getting like $8,000 or $9,000 back on average.
Okay.
So in those towns, it's a little more closely managed, and so you will see like the city will in the middle of tax season they'll change a law, or they'll tweak something, and now everybody who filed this certain credit or deduction, like they've been audited. And it's just an audit is literally just making sure like everything lines up. So everything you put in this refund, or everything you put in this 1040 or your tax forms, they want to make sure it all lined up, basically. Just a checks and balance. So it's not even a scary thing if you do get audited. But if you get audited in Ohio, you're doing something real crazy. So you don't really see them up here like mostly. Like it's the down south is like where you really like.
Interesting.
See it.
So I take it.
Have you ever audited?
Don't audit me. Don't audit me.
So, Floyd, and you being an entrepreneur, being a small business, and it sounds like you've been fairly organized because you believe in keeping receipts. I'm a person that keeps receipts everywhere as well. But so for the people who maybe have absolutely no bookkeeping experience, what are some of the things that you educated yourself to learn how to do, being an entrepreneur, small business owner, and manage yourself?
Well, it started with having a operating system. So with our company, we did a lot of reservations. So every dollar is logged. So we can go back and say what our numbers for, October of 2014. And so that kind of generates our accounting, just the starting process of it. So our accountant will go in and look at our numbers, and it'll transform into QuickBooks so that, we can keep track of that.
Okay.
So I would say, and that was the first thing that got me at least saying, well, I'm a little bit organized. Because before I was just guessing. It's all about what's in my account. You asked me what I made last year, and I was like, well, that did $15,000, and then that month I think we did good. And I think that's really our problem. We don't know when we make money. It's just we thought we did good, and if we actually look back at the numbers, it was like we were overspending. We were losing money constantly, and we thought, well, because we have money in our pocket, that we won, and that's just not the case. You know, even I used to have, I had a barber shop for a period of time, in the barbers. We would go. I would talk to them about their numbers. They were on Blueprint, which is something that in that industry, man, is like a cancer, man. But a lot of people like it, but as an owner, it was a horrible business. So we would go over their time. I would say they would be like, I want to be on Blueprint. Our Blueprint at the time was $165 a week. It was high for them, but they're like, well, no, I want to be on Blueprint. And I'm like, okay, well, let's sit down and go over the
As
numbers.
opposed to the commission structure?
Absolutely. Because I was like, well, let's do a split. That way you don't have to worry about Blueprint. I'll take care of all of your expenses in terms of marketing, your products, and all of that.
That's how it should be.
And we would go over the numbers, and they would be, because they had a pocket full of money on Saturday, they just disregarded Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, where they were just sitting in the shop all day from 9 a.m. to 7 and not really making that much money. And when it boiled down, they were making like $6 an hour. And so, like, that's why, to me, like, that's why I had to get out of that industry. Because if you could trick yourself into thinking that you're making money just because
It's
you
cash.
make money on one,
Right.
because you got a pocket full of
hard
money.
cash is
So
deceiving.
they're thinking like, oh, I'm making money. Look at this, you know. And I'm like, man, it's Saturday, and you haven't even paid your Blueprint yet. So when you look at it holistically, then that's when you see that you're not really successful, or not as successful as you thought. You're not even really running a business. It's a hustle, and you're not even good at that hustle. You're not even making money there. But it takes for us to really count up our money, say, hey, my sales for Monday this week were this, Tuesday was that, and my expenses. And then when you look at it on a sheet of paper, and your net revenue at the end of the month is in the negative, well, then now you know you're not doing something right, and now you got to go on YouTube or do some research and figure out how to do it correctly so you can make better decisions to move forward. And so, like, that's what I had to man up and admit that what I was doing wasn't working. And then once I learned that, then I can apply that to my business going forward. And so that's my experience. And so that's something I suggest to everybody, is just stop thinking that, understand that you win when you know your numbers.
Yeah.
Period. And you lose when you're just guessing. And a lot of people don't want to file taxes and don't want to hire an accountant, is because they are, as you mentioned, Brittany, they're afraid. They're afraid to know what the truth is.
Exactly.
Because they're living in this fantasy world where I got a pocket full of money, I got a nice car, and you don't realize that your car, you can't afford that car. Where you live, you can't afford that. Whoever you're dating and your lifestyle, you can't afford that and operate your business.
But that's completely true, though. Like, I think it scares your reality. Like, when you finally put all these numbers down, it's like, hold up, I'm paying $700 for this car? You're not factoring in your new insurance rate. You're not factoring in, now you got to buy higher grade of gas.
for a car, who would even do?
But
Lord.
but if you're not budgeting out, you're
Yeah.
seeing where your money's going every month. You don't know what you're spending. I think that is like, somebody's reality can be a little scary for them, and they are scared of their finances. And if somebody is scared of their own finances, they're definitely going to be scared to let somebody else take a look at it. So I think that's what prevent people from hiring like the professionals, because it's like, it's a hard reality. And I have those conversations, and it's hard to have those conversations. Like, when you talk to small business owners and they're coming in like, oh, yeah, I made $14,000 last year. And so now you're talking to me like you want to write everything off, when you have an either or. You can either write everything off and hope those deductions come up to your standard exemption, and it doesn't work out that way. Like, you have a set number where if you file it, even if you do file like your business as a side business, and you file it all on one, tax return, if you're not coming up, if you're single, I think it was like 14.5, you have to come up with over 14,000 write-offs even benefit from that. So if you only made 14,000 last year, it doesn't make sense now.
Yeah.
So now I have to tell you this. I have to tell you this. It doesn't make sense because you didn't make enough money.
Yeah.
And you're bringing in receipts from everywhere, and it makes sense, but it don't make sense because you don't make any money right now. And I think that's the biggest thing too, like knowing when to file and knowing, when to super go 100% legit. Because I'll tell somebody in a heartbeat, if you tell them t-shirts and they ain't found you yet, chill out until you chill.
Yeah.
And especially if you come to me and tell me that you're not charging tax on your products and your services, I'm like, all right, you know what, you may just sit down real quick. You may be moving too fast.
Yeah.
I mean, is it legal? No, but I think it's totally illegal to take this person's money who's trying to make a better living for themselves, who may or may not have finished school, but morally, to me, I don't think that if you only making $10,000, you know what I'm saying, like on a yearly basis, you just getting started with a new business, you haven't seen it, but over that year, you spent that money out.
Yeah.
And I think that that's where we get into that whole, like you said, having a pocket full of money that one day you're not really realizing throughout the year you spent all that money.
And a lot of times you're not paying yourself either. So at the end of the day, I think it's that we're living in a fantasy, especially with social media, where I want you to think that I'm somebody and I'm doing something, and over time I start to convince myself when I start looking at my profile, like, man, I look like I'm successful.
Right.
I start to live in that fantasy. I start to believe the fantasy as everyone else, and so sitting down with an accountant is a reality check that I think probably scares people. It would have scared me too, and even now, you know, sometimes like I think that
it is scary.
Who wants to know? In this fantasy that we live in this world, who wants to know the actual truth that you're poor?
Well,
you know,
the reality
I actually
is,
had a girlfriend that told me that this is in the heart of when I felt like I was winning, being a DJ and a party promoter and all of this. She was like, well, based on your income, you could get food stamps.
That's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, now mind you, I'm walking down the street, people like, hey man, I know where y'all at. And I'm like imagining me, whoever I think that I am at the time, standing in line for food stamps. Because I technically qualify for that.
Yeah. It's a hard truth.
well, in my personal opinion, there is nothing wrong with taking food stamps if you are a tax-paying citizen. It's very much a reality. I mean, to be completely honest, when I first started my small business and I was only working part-time, I fully took advantage of food stamps and whatever else I could apply for. I never, had the luxury of getting Section 8 or anything like that. But
Not luxury though.
$35 rent sounds real good when you're trying to build a business. You guys have any final words to the small businesses out there for this tax season as we all get ready to file our taxes? We're going to see people rolling around in their new cars and they're all these 38-day tags.
38 bangers.
Any final words before we go?
Hire me. But seriously, just keep a record of every single thing you're doing. Keep a record of your time. Your time is huge because you have to put in the hours. They're going to start looking at that. They're already looking at that now. Like if you own rental homes or rental properties, if you're not putting in like a property manager's like time, you can't write it off anymore. So those are things they're going to start looking into. So start logging your time. So if you are logging your receipts, start logging your time, whether you are driving to work, going to work, sitting down with clients, meeting clients, whatever you're doing in any industry, all your time should be logged because they will start looking at that.
Interesting.
So just keep an account of everything. Write everything down. Excel, have good start QuickBooks sheets for like just one industry, one category. You can get started on Excel. I used Excel when I wasn't buying QuickBooks. So you can use Excel, but just keep a track of everything. Everything.
And tell people where to find you while you're at it.
You can find me. B Jackson at Instagram, so BJAXSON. Tax Break is on Instagram, tax.break, BREAK. Downtown City Club building, and I do that part time, so I still got a real job too.
And how about you, Floyd? Any final words, and tell the people where to find you.
Really, I think for entrepreneurs, it's tough for us. So I would say find a program that can crunch your numbers and keep track of what you're doing on your own. Because I'm the type of person, I don't like to write things down a lot. I'm more just kind of like visionary type of thinker. But find a program that you can plug your numbers into. It might be how you operate your business, whether that's how you take your credit card transactions or however on a daily basis. Find a program that makes it easy for you, and then that's a start. You know, like you suggested, maybe you don't initially start filing taxes at the very beginning, especially if you're in a cash-based business, but at least find something to help you get an idea of that. And in terms of where people can contact me is on Instagram at AskFloyd, and then my website, floydphillips.org.
Oh, I got a website too. Yay, I'm kind of getting professional. But bjackson.com.
But thank you guys so much for taking time out on a Sunday during playoff football season to join me and share some valuable information for these entrepreneurs. All right, guys. You can join us next month. We are going to be really talking about a hot topic. We're going to tackle Black entrepreneurs and where they're failing. You know, what is it about Black businesses that, you know, still kind of have these stereotypical reputations as far as not being professional, not being on time. Yeah, we're going there, and we hope to be able to give you some valuable insight to consider how you can improve your business this year in 2020. Stay tuned for next month on Unspoken.